will see some things that I don't like very much here in Australia, and that is the homeless. So this Greek Easter, we enjoyed our food, but that day we should remember also people that are on the streets here in Australia, the homeless people. They sleep out on the streets, and most of the times they don't have to eat. Now, homeless in Australia, a lot of people say to me that these people, they want to be homeless. They actually enjoy it. Let's have a look.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up there.
Today it's the middle of winter, and I hope to change a homeless person's day by making them smile and showing them that someone does care about them. I'm going to be giving them a banana, a couple of bottles of water, some socks, a beanie, some Tim Tams, cheese and bacon roll, and a blanket to keep them warm for these cold winter nights.
Sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world.
Giving love but getting nothing back. Oh, people, help the people. And if you're homesick, give me your hand and I'll hold it. People, help the people. Nothing will drag you down. Oh, and if I had to bring, oh, and if I had to bring, I'd be cold as a stone and rich as a fool. It turned all those good hearts away.
Today we're also going to have a look at foreign aid. A lot of the richest countries, they just give money to poorer countries. Now we're going to have a look and see what happens with this money and what Australia does. But first let's have a look and see this report from UK and where the money from foreign aid that UK is paying, where that money goes. Let's have a look at that.
The example of British aid to Ethiopia, which totals £300 million. Evidence studies, a BBC investigation shows that in fact it wasn't used to help poor people. It was used by the Ethiopian government to cement a corrupt hold on power. A second example is in India, a £388 million project aimed at improving Indian schools. The government here hailed it as a huge success. They said more children were going to a school as a result of it. But the Indian government says that around £70 million of it was either stolen or lost, that much of it was allocated to schools that didn't even exist, and that some of it went to buy cars for dignitaries, officials in India.
Schools that they don't exist? Cars for the dignities? And then this.
But there's been a lot of controversy about that at home, with taxpayers saying, why are we giving money to help a country which has its own space programme?
Exactly right. If they have the money to go to space, I'm sure they have money to build their own ghost schools and to buy their own cars for their dignities, don't they? But the best one, I just left it for last. Have a look at this one.
Subsidising a Turkish television station.
Money from foreign aid goes to a Turkish TV station? I don't understand that. Sorry, it's just probably me. I just cannot understand something like that. But let's go to the next story. The next story, it's also about people in need here in Australia. Again, I just don't understand. We have our returned servicemen, the people that they went to war. They witnessed the horror, They went to hell and they back here. Have a look at this.
For a soldier who has returned from war, life is never going to be the same again. Imagine you are over in Afghanistan in the dirt, the dust and the sweat with your weapon at the ready, expecting to come under fire at any given time or be blown up by a bomb. Then, in a matter of 10 days or less sometimes, you hop on a plane and you're back home with your family and your friends within your community and expected to be back to normal. Since the year 2000, 42 Australian soldiers have been killed in action at war. 13 veterans and 98 soldiers have killed themselves. They've completed the act of suicide. Sadly, there's actually reports that state this could be up to 7 times more. So we're looking at about 700 people. And on any given night here in Australia, we have up to 3,000 veterans homeless and living on our streets. Please remember that these are people that chose to fight for our country. And we have more soldiers killing themselves than those who have been killed in action. It's just unthinkable.
105,000 homeless, and that's probably doesn't count a lot of others. They reckon it's around about, the real number is about 225,000 homeless. And then we get the servicemen that they're servicing our country and they return and they end up committing suicide or homeless. And what do? We just pay, for example, nearly $2 billion the last 3 years to Indonesia for foreign aid. Because they need the money, they say. Don't we need the money for our own people here? What about our pensioners? They're on a starvation pension. That's what I think. A lot of them are on a diet, but a forced diet, because they can't afford to live with the money that they get. These people worked all their lives and that's how we pay them back. Anyway, we're going to have a look at some stories now about this money that we give to Indonesia and some other countries as well. Because according to AusAid, not to me, a lot of this money, they can't find it. A lot of the money goes to some MKOs, some organizations, that they get a lot of that money, but it never gets to the schools. Did you hear the story before? Ghost schools that they don't exist. It's the same thing with the money from Australia that gone to Pakistan and also some money that went to Indonesia. Now, because I'm of Greek descent and we invented satire, and I like my satire, I can't help it. I was probably a satire many in another life. I would just show you a little clip that I made with a little bit of satire, and this actually comes from AusAid itself, but I just changed it a little bit. Now, let's have a look at it. can't help myself. Remember, I'm a satire, so, I just have to do it. Anyway, I think that we also have to have a look at the next one. And the next one also, it talks, it's about Indonesia. And guests from the Southeast Asia countries, out of the 10 of them, guess which one has the strongest military in that area? And now let's have a look at this one. We just took actually 6 of the strongest ones. Let's have a look. Number 1, Indonesia. We gave them $2 billion in the last 3 years. I would just like to go and check and see where that money's gone. I would like to see $2 billion worth of schools and $2 billion worth of other infrastructure. Maybe I will ask them, maybe I make a visit over there just to have a look and see what's going on. At the meantime, look at our debt. It's ticking away. Every single second that goes past, look how it's ticking away. Now, this is the debt clock of Australia. Have a look at this. Look at it, 745 million. It's the debt from the government. And the whole debt for Australia, it's $5.6 trillion. Now, if that's a rich country, and we can spare $2 billion just for Indonesia, I don't have a problem. But are we? Look at it. Anyway, this is all we had for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget your lotus. And don't forget to ask questions. Where is our money going? This is not my Australia. My Australia has changed, and not to the better. So maybe we have to do something about it. But remember your beautiful lotus. This is what happened to me. I ate the lotus here in Australia, and I'm here forever. Sorry, you have to put up with me. This is incredible. Try it, but make sure it's ripe. Look at that. Beautiful stuff. See you next week. Thank you.